Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. My name is Max, and this is Lennart, my colleague. We are both software developers in the checkout team at Shopware, and we are telling you, as Niklas already said, how to build an app.
Max will start.
Yes. So, as the checkout team, we are responsible for the maintenance of the PayPal plugin. And you probably know that it takes some time for merchants to update their plugins. And therefore, we want to evaluate how easy it would be to move our plugin into the app system and check if all the capabilities we need for the app system are already there. And since all the logic, or at least most of it, would be placed on the app server and not on the local system, we would be much quicker with pushing API changes, fixing bugs, or even security issues. And also, we could provide support for more Shopware major versions, which would just get rid of a lot of hassle on our side. So, what did we do? We built, as a preparation for today, a proof of concept app called SCD PayPal app, as you can see with the GitHub header up there. And what it does currently is only implement one of the PayPal payment methods, the so-called wallet, so the regular payment with PayPal. And what we also did to evaluate how easy it is to integrate the PayPal JavaScript SDK is we implemented the smart payment buttons they provide. So how did we start? The most important thing for every fresh developer. Since this is only a proof of concept, we started with a local development setup. So we used devenv. If you haven't heard about devenv, please check out our documentation, or in a few minutes, go over to the community stage where our colleagues are having another talk there. But keep in mind, it will have already started when you go there, so please be quiet. And also keep in mind, not every app does need an app server. We do for payments. But if you do something with app scripting and custom entities, or if you just want to add some templates, you don't need to. But yeah. So let's get started. We are PHP developers, so we want to use the new app bundle Shopware provides. And this includes also the app PHP SDK. And with these three rather simple comments, on your server, you have already your composer setup set up, and this includes all the dependencies you require. And what the SDK and the app bundle does for you is it includes all the authentication stuff that you need with Shopware, so the registration and signing, etc., all that you may have heard during the early days of the app system is all done for you. You don't have to implement anything else. What it also does, especially important with payments, because you will get injected an order with line items, customer data, addresses, etc. All this is typed. So no more dissecting a JSON array or any of that ugly stuff you may have done previously in the app system. Okay, if you have ever dangled around with the app system, you know that there is also a manifest file to be added. Most importantly here is the payments section. So we add just a PayPal payment method with two URLs, one when we try to start the payment process and one at the end of the payment process when we try to validate if the payment has gone through. And with that, we can already install the app. Of course, the payment process doesn't work yet because you haven't implemented those two URLs I just talked about, but it already works. No additional setup required. So what we need to do now is implement the payment handling. First, the pay method. This is going to happen when you hit the confirm button on the checkout confirm page, and we get to this URL. As you can see up there, the payment pay action from the app SDK is already injected into your method, and it contains the full order with all of its details. And we inject this now into a order builder, which is specific for PayPal, of course. we kind of simplified it here for you. It is much more complicated in the app, obviously, but it doesn't really matter if you do this as a plugin or an app. There's always a hassle of converting your local Shopware system into the structs that your payment provider needs. In this case, PayPal. And when we have created that PayPal order, keep in mind that's not the Shopware order, that's a PayPal order, it's a struct you need to send them. We will get back a URL for the customer to be referred to, and that we can return as a response back to Shopware, and Shopware will redirect the customer to that URL from PayPal. And when we come back, the finalized URL is going to be called. And again, we have the finalized action up here with the order. And now we can check with PayPal if that order is actually has been processed correctly and the customer has entered all his credentials, and capture the order if everything went through. And after that, we can just return that the payment has been paid. If anything would have crashed here because the customer hasn't entered his credentials and some exception was thrown and we returned a 500 error, Shopware is going to handle that for you and make the payment set to failed. And with that, it's already done. You have already your first order created, and it's basically finished. Now, it's still a very crude redirect flow. And it could be much prettier with PayPal with the smart payment buttons. And that's what Lennart's going to talk about now.
Yeah, thank you very much, Max, for this short introduction in how to build a crude payment handling for PayPal in the app. Now I want to talk about how we could improve on this setup with the help of the PayPal JavaScript SDK, because the folks from PayPal provide us with a very easy way to even get more methods and better browser integration in the storefront. And for this, PayPal gives us the ability in a JavaScript SDK to render so-called smart payment buttons, as PayPal call them. And as you can see here on the slide, there are like some payment methods like pay later, credit card stuff. PayPal handles for you, and it integrates really good into your storefront in every browser. And the only thing we need for this are a merchant ID and a client ID for PayPal to render these merchant specific. The problem we now face here is we have this data on our app server. So how do we get this to the storefront, to the JavaScript side? And for this, we came up with an idea in the past, which we call the storefront action, which is a very easy way for you to communicate between the storefront, JavaScript, and your app server. And as you can see here, this is a usual storefront plugin, as it's called, a JavaScript extension, which we have here from the app. And this app has an init function, which is just called when the plugin is initialized. And we create here a new app client, which is like part of the new storefront actions. And this new app client is ready to communicate with your app server very easily. After this, we create the button. We will come to this now. Inside this create button, I will not hassle with the details how to render these buttons. It's all very good documented, very well documented on PayPal's side. We just keep on focusing what data we need. And as you can see here, we have this method which calls a client config or fetches a client config for us, and it's all done in this single line of code. We just call the client with a get. We can provide an URL. You can provide data, additional data with a post method, for example, and we merge this back into our options object, where we can process this for the button rendering in the next process. So, how does this look like on the server side? If you have the Symfony bundle like us available, this will be very, very easy. As you can see here, we have the side from the app server, and in the first line, you can see we get this storefront action injected. This is done for you from the Symphony bundle. There's a context, there's an argument resolver, and this provides you with this nice little object here, which you can use. We needed to create this API context, how we call it, for API. And as you can see, this action object has the shop in it, so you can identify which shop is calling, from which JavaScript is calling. And you have this claims inside there. The claims are, as long as your app has read permission on it, are information about customer ID, SageChain ID, like in this example, the used payment method, shipping method from the customer. So it comes with the handy stuff, like a little SageChain context you could imagine for your app server to work with. In the next step, we call our repository where in the database where the config is stored, and we simply return this as a JSON response. The bundle does the rest for us, and as you can see, the client ID and merchant payer ID are provided here. And this is everything we need to then actually render these smart payment buttons in the storefront. That's actually what we did in our app, and it was fairly easy to do so with the right tooling. The app SDK and the app bundle really helps you as long as you develop a PHP app server, of course. But now I want to give an outlook what we want to try to achieve with this app in the future and what we try to achieve with the app system in general. So, for this app, we plan to add more payment methods. As many of you maybe know, PayPal has a ton of payment methods, alternative payment handlers and stuff like this, like Venmo and regionalized payment handlers. And we want to build an onboarding UI. There's a big part we haven't talked about yet, which is the admin extension SDK, which allows your app to communicate from the administration side with your app server. And this would be very handy to build an onboarding UI to give the merchants easier access to the PayPal onboarding. And now, in general, what we want to achieve in the future with the app system, there's a big thing coming in the next week, so please keep posted about this, is the so-called checkout gateway, which enables your app server to do decisions based on the app server, based on card and SageChain context during the checkout process. So you could deactivate payment methods, you could add a crude new payment method, for example, and card errors. You could block the card completely on the checkout confirm page based on decisions made on your app server. What we think what you could achieve out there is, for example, to do risk management stuff. If the payment handler says, I cannot do any transactions because of insurance policies or stuff like this, above 10,000 euros, for example, you could simply block the whole card and no payment would ever be done. You could block users from different regions, stuff like this, everything what you want from your app server. And that's basically it. That's the state of our app and the state of the app system, which will come will be advanced in the future. And here on your right side, you can see a QR code to the repository if you're interested from PayPal as a starter for you maybe. Or on the left side, you see an app which is called the Braintree, which we use productively. Braintree is somewhat a payment service from PayPal, which is mainly popular in the US market. But this is used productively, and you can even get some information about how to use GitHub workflows to automatically deploy your app server or even deploy your app into the store. So, thank you very much. That's it from our side. See you around. Bye.